Hi, everyone, and welcome to Leash Reactivity Rehab. Reactivity on leash is a huge, huge problem these days. So I think a lot of dogs need some rehab. I think a lot of owners need some rehab and how to deal with this really troublesome and very prevalent situation. So today's webinar is all about some actionable tips, some things that you can do today to start alleviating the problem, as well as how to prevent the problem from ever starting. So let's get into it and let me do some screen sharing here. So reactivity rehab, we want to transform those embarrassing, stress-filled walks into peaceful and fun outings with your dog. So I always call leash walking, I never really work on a heel unless we're doing and more advanced stuff with service dogs, therapy dogs, those types of things. I'm really just after what I call coffee walking. Coffee walking is where you can walk your dog, have a cup of coffee or beverage of your choice, talk with your friends, and just have a nice, peaceful outing. That's what we're all about here. And if your dog is reacting, lunging, barking, pulling, you can't do that, or the coffee goes everywhere, right? So, reactivity rehab. So, who am I? My name is Cindy Scott. I am the founder, CEO, director of Dogs Etc. Dog Training. I've been a professional dog trainer, behavioral consultant for over 30 years. I'm recommended by veterinarians. I'm an AKC certified evaluator. I'm also an animal behavior college mentor and a Kong ambassador. So I've been around a while, I've seen a lot of things, and I have the experience where I've tweaked things to what works, what doesn't work. And I like to cut out the fluff and get to the meat and the potatoes of everything. I always say, why would you do 10 steps when you can just do three? So I'm continually trying to limit as few steps as I possibly need. So reactivity rehab, really, really rehab. What we want to do is keep your dog safe and you sane. And it's really rehab because it's rehabilitating, modifying your dog's behaviors. And leash reactivity is the fastest growing, most common behavior I see these days. And it has really grown in frequency and intensity over the past few decades that I've been doing this. So, what is leash reactivity? Leash reactivity is when a dog overreacts to stimulus while on the leash. Provoking stimulus can be anything from other people, other dogs, cars, skateboards, bicycles, joggers. Typically, it's things that move quickly and therefore trigger your dog's prey drive, play/prey drive. Bleh, say that 10 times fast. But dogs, as predators, they are hardwired to chase things that move. So the faster things move, whether it's a skateboard or an adolescent puppy doodle, your dog is hardwired to chase after it. And depending on your dog's breed, that predisposition can grow. Obviously, herding dogs, terriers tend to be much more reactive than other breeds. And that's not to say that we don't see leash reactivity in every single breed, because we do. It's not a breed specific thing, but there are breeds that are more prone to it. So, what are examples of reactivity? Barking, lunging, growling, any type of excitability, over excitability. And each dog, this is going to be different, but typically the barking, pulling, lunging, getting overexcited are what you're going to see. So, what causes this? Well, there are a number of things, and really it kind of comes down to lack of proper socialization as young puppies during that very, very crucial neonatal period. The neonatal period is up until about 4.5, 5 months. And it used to be birth until then, but there's a lot of research where they are discovering neonatally dogs are learning. Just like we as moms instinctively know that neonatally our own children are learning while they're still in the womb, so are other animals as well. I swear this is why my oldest son it turned out to be a musician and loved music so much before I was even pregnant with him. It was the summer of, I don't know, I think I went to like 10 different concerts. So before I even knew he was a thing, he was already a regular concert goer. So they're finding the same thing. Now, science is proving that with humans, but they're also proving it with puppies as well. So the neonatal period is really, really important. And then the young infancy as well, very, very important with puppies. And that window closes about 4.5, 5 months. Doesn't mean they can't learn, for heaven's sakes, but it just becomes that much more challenging for them and is not quite as easy. So that's the other reason we super duper 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 want to take advantage of puppyhood as much as we possibly can to have positive socialization. We want to make sure all those experiences in puppyhood are positive, positive, positive. Of course, those of us that have rescue dogs, we have no control over what happens to them because we don't even have them. So that is why this rehabilitation is really important. And I'm right there with you. I mean, I've adopted rescue dogs that are as reactive, if not more, than what I see with my clients' dogs. So I walk the walk. I walk the talk. I talk the walk. Whatever. So what causes it? Proper lack of proper socialization. We had discussed breed predisposition, frustration. This is another thing that can happen where maybe lack of proper socialization means that puppies are allowed to go up to every puppy or every dog or every person that they see on a walk. So then what the puppy and the dog learns is to get excited when they see other dogs, other people on walks. So that's a learned behavior. So frustration, not being able to get where they want to get to, can manifest itself in this pulling, lunging, barking, etc. And then, of course, the fear issue of not being properly socialized is you become afraid of what you don't know. So those two things kind of work hand in hand. So solutions, whatever the cause, I mean, we can make ourselves crazy with this and any other behavior issue. We can make ourselves crazy trying to figure out why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Let's focus on the solutions. Let's focus on the solutions. I would rather see you spend your time, your energy, your efforts on making it better than trying to figure out how you got there. Like Einstein said, you can't solve a problem from the same energy that created it. So let's just put all of that in the past and let's move forward to, as they say, new horizons. We're going to focus on the solutions. We always want to look, whether it's dog training or anything else in life, you want to look where you want to go. It's very philosophical. You can't see where you're going if you're so busy looking behind you, right? So let's look where we want to go. So counter conditioning, that's one of your psych words for the day. Counter conditioning is huge when it comes to the rehabilitation and behavior modification for this and a plethora of other behavior issues. So counter conditioning is when you pair something that causes a negative emotional response with something known to create a positive emotional response. So what that means, for instance, is if skateboards, your dog previously has had bad experiences with skateboards. They're scary, they move fast, I don't know what they are. Maybe they've been hit with one before, who knows what, or a skateboarder ran into them, who knows what the negative association or what caused it. But we're not even really focusing on that. Again, if something they have that negative association for whatever reason, now we're going to go back and pair a positive association with it. So, what's something positive that your dog likes? Food, toys, attention, play. We're going to make skateboards fun, not something scary. So, we pair it with good stuff. So now, ultimately, the PhD that we're working on is when your dog sees a skateboard, they get happy and they like it. Plus, we're rewarding them for being calm, not getting excited. So you're herding dogs, your terriers that like the skateboards because they want to chase after them. We want to reward them for being calm when they see it, not getting overly excited. And that's the substitution. We replace the negative behavior with a more desirable one. So, the best way to get rid of a bad behavior, whatever the species for us too, is you replace it with a good behavior. If they're doing the right thing, they're not doing the wrong thing. If they're sitting, they're not jumping. If they're quiet, they're not barking. If they're sitting nicely next to you, they're not pulling. So again, we want to focus on the positive, focus on the correct way to behave rather than how do I stop this? How do I stop this? How do I stop that? You're still focusing on the negative instead of how do I stop this? How do I start this? That's what it's all about. And you start at home. The place to learn to swim is not necessarily diving into the deep end. You want to start in the kiddie pool. You want to start on the bunny hill, right? And the bunny hill for dog training is your living room. You want to start at home where nothing is going on. And you want to start with the basics. Basic training, work on those scales. You can't start out first time sitting down at a piano and play, Mozart. You got to start with those scales. If you sit down at the piano and you expect to play Mozart or Beethoven or something very complex and you don't do it, then you get mad and yell at the piano. It's not the piano's fault. It's you have to go back and you have to do those basics. So what are the basics in dog training? Basic commands: come, sit, down, stay, walk on leash. Nothing is free. They have to constantly be saying please and thank you, just like little kids do. Okay. And they're learning to listen to. I mean, there's so many layers to it. I rant about this all the time. And those of you that been to my classes or any sort of training with me, it really is a rant, but it's true. There's so many layers to the onion of just doing those scales. No matter dogs that are very proficient at this, you still got to work on those scales. It's a great way to warm up. And you can't go to the next level if you don't know those basics yet. So integrate it into your daily routine with your dog. They have to say please and thank you. They have to know those basics and they have to learn to listen to you. If they can't listen to you with nothing going on, there's no way they can listen to you with lots of stuff going on. Okay. And the other thing is we want to reward the calm, not the crazy. Okay. I rant on this. I seriously, I want to come up with a greatest hits rant that I do. But we so enjoy getting the dog all revved up and then get mad at them when they get revved up. You want to go for a walk? Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. Do you want to go for a walk? The dog is going ape crazy. And then you put the leash on and you go for a walk. So you're already starting out at a level 5. And then as soon as the dog hits the front door, it immediately goes to a level 8. And then they see one squirrel and you're 10 and plus already. So we don't want to start here. We want to start way down here, keeping it calm, keeping it controlled. Your dog has no problem getting crazy. that is not what's complicated here. We want to work on the calm, not the crazy. We want to focus on rewarding that calm. In fact, if the dog gets too crazy, you go back inside. Game over, right? We want to reward that calmness. And so the different zones, and we'll go over this in a little bit, the little zones, the layers of zones, you've got your green zone when nothing's going on. You've got your yellow zone where they're a little bit excited, and then your red zone when they're off the charts, right? So we want to keep them out of the yellow, orange, definitely the red zone. We want to keep them in the green, blue zone as much as possible. So again, calm leash exercises, I call it. We don't want to reward the excitement by continuing the walk. So if you leave your house and the dog, like I said, is already a little 5, and you walk over that threshold of the boundary of your front yard, and they instantly go to that level 8, go back inside. And this is an exercise you can practice. Something you can do today is taking your dog for micro walks, taking them just tiny little walks. And a walk could simply be out your front door, turn around and go back in again. Do that maybe half a dozen times. Go out your what's it called? Your driveway. Go up and down your driveway a few times and then go back inside. A walk doesn't have to be this huge long thing. And in fact, if every time you do this huge long thing and your dog is getting all excited, we're totally reinforcing that excitement. We want to work on the calm, not the crazies. The crazies, the dog crazies. So don'ts. As you go through rehab with your dog here with me, or just in general, what we don't want to do is force your dog to meet another dog or put them in any uncomfortable situation. We tend to push them where we want them to go, not where they want to go. And this is the hardest part about being a parent, whatever the species, is it's not about you. You got to take your ego out of this. This has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with your child, whatever their species. You are their advocate. And if they're uncomfortable and you force them to meet another dog, they're going to have to be protective of themselves. And protection can look like aggression. They're going to bark. They're going to say, hey, get away from me, other dog, because apparently my advocate, my parent isn't looking out for me, so I got to look out for myself. Or whether it's another dog that they don't want to see, or another person. If they're uncomfortable with another person, then you have to make an excuse and leave. Don't force them to say hello to somebody that they don't necessarily want to say hello to. Okay. Give them what's called agency over their environment. And again, this is important for kids too. Agency is having control over your own environment. And we'll go into this more, and especially those of you doing the Reactivity Rehab course with me, as we do a deep dive into this. This is really important, especially if you've got a dog that has been through some sort of trauma, a rescue dog, dogs that you are making up for lack of socialization as puppies. Having agency or control over their environment is significant. It's going to give them more confidence. And it's those confident dogs, individuals, I say individuals because it's not just dogs, having that confidence, they don't feel like they have to go on the defensive as much. They feel like they can handle their situation. They have more control over their environment. So they don't have to do all of this external fronting like you're barking, which is literally just get away from me, stay away from me. The lunging of I'm going to get you before you get me type of situation. So agency is really important. You want to be your dog's advocate and not force them into an uncomfortable situation. And then the other thing you don't want to do is yell, punish, leash corrections, let alone any of those other punishing techniques I'm not even going to talk about. All that does is increase your dog's anxiety level. And here's the thing, here's the kicker. When your dog gets to that red zone, they cannot learn. There's no learning going on when you're in the red zone. So any of this punishment that you do, it is really just managing their behavior to stop them to manage your embarrassment over their behavior. But it's not teaching them anything except to shut down, and that bad things happen when those skateboards are around, when those other dogs are around. So it can actually increase their anxiety around those situations and increase their reactivity around those situations. So if you punish the barking or if you punish the pulling, you are punishing the symptom, not the disease. So what will happen is the dogs won't bark, they won't lunge, they won't give those outward get away from me signals. They'll just wait till the dog gets too close and then they'll bite them. Or the person gets too close and then they'll bite them. So punishing, yelling, it's counterproductive. Okay. And you don't want to wait for your dog to be reactive to respond to them. This is the other big one. And this is one of my greatest hits rants that I got to put together. We in this culture are so conditioned to ignore good behavior, but wait for bad behavior and then react to the bad behavior. And that's just the opposite of what we want to do. We want to reward like mad the good behavior, even if it's just for a couple seconds, and focus our efforts on rewarding that good stuff. And then if we're so busy rewarding the good stuff, the bad stuff isn't going to happen. So don't ignore the good stuff is what I'm telling you. Reward, reward, reward. And then, yeah, I'll talk about what to do when your dog does react. But that's not the emphasis of what we want to do. Because again, whatever you think about, wherever you put your energy, that's what you're going to get more of. If you're putting your energy into waiting for the dog to react, you're going to get more of that. Philosophically, energetically, but also behavior wise, because the more they react, the more that becomes habituated, the more it becomes a habit. It's going to be their go-to. The more you do anything, the more you're going to do it because you go subconsciously, where you're not even thinking about it. Which leads us to what we do want to do, which is reward, reward, reward. How do you reward your dog? Yes, of course we use treats, but treats aren't the only thing. Again, we are so conditioned to focus on the treats, we forget about everything else. And then we get stuck using the treats, and then we blame the dog. Oh, he only does it for treats. Well, that's only because you're using treats, I guarantee you. So other ways to reward, obviously your praise, your verbal cues, and there's a difference between good dog and good dog. So really lay it on thick. Toys, play, those are all great ways to reward your dog, and good redirections as well, which we'll talk about later. And when I say rewards, I'm meaning sequential rewards. Again, we stupid humans, we tend to do it once and then we ignore. In this culture, we are so conditioned not to reward. We don't, whether it's seen as a sign of weakness. I don't know. That's a topic for a whole nother day. But we just don't reward. We don't praise. We don't say, hey, attaboy, good job, but we're really quick to punish. We're really quick to say, hey, did you see what she wore today? Or you're going to do that again? Or you really screwed up that time, buddy? We're really good about that. So I want to flip that around. Work on your rewards. So it's not just, here's one treat. No, here's treat, 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 treat. Maybe half a dozen treats. It's not just good. It's good job, good job, good job. Great. You're doing good. Good, 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 good. Praise, 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 praise. You cannot overpraise. But yes, it's about the timing, and you want to make sure that you're praising and rewarding appropriately. But the first step is, my gosh, just get in the habit of praising. And then the other thing that I really want you to remember is to remain calm. Remain calm. Because the more excited you get, the more excited your dog's going to get. They are going to mirror your energy level. So if you're like, stop it, your dog is going to be even more in the red zone. now what's past red? He's in the purple zone. I don't know, whatever. Um, he's just going to mirror your energy level. So you want to remain calm. Really important. Important, but not always easy, but we work on it. So let's talk about some body language. What I want you to look for when you know that your dog is getting nervous. And we don't want to wait again until your dog is in that red zone to react. You want to be watching your dog. So you want to pull him out of that pale yellow zone as quickly as possible. So what do we look for? Stillness. Stillness is probably the best tip that I can give you. So dogs that freeze, they're thinking about something. Okay. So the more still your dog gets, the more he's thinking about reacting to something, whatever it is, or the more he's thinking about something, whatever it is. You want your dog to be nice and relaxed, tail wagging a little bit, maybe a little bit of a pant coming. You can tell, you know, your dog when he's relaxed. So when he's relaxed and then he freezes, I want you to watch that. I want you to be aware of that and walk him away, whatever the situation. Tail position is something else that's really important. Again, the tail wagging just means they're excited, doesn't necessarily mean that it's a friendly, happy, excited. So if the tail is kind of limp, that's what we want, nice and relaxed. If the tail tucks under, of course, that's fear. If the tail goes up and forward, really exaggerated towards the head, that's a dominant position. Again, more of an aggressive, assertive position. So we just want the tail to be kind of nice and relaxed. Piloerection. This is when people say that the dog's hackles came up, the hair that stands up on the back of their back. And it's really it's a reflex. He has no control over that. And what it is the nervous system triggers the contraction of the muscles so that the hair follicles stand up. That's really what it is. And it can be due to fear, uh, dominance, aggression. It's just an intense emotional stimuli is what causes it. But know that it is a reflex. He has no control over it. Okay. It's not that he's doing it on purpose to be more aggressive. It's Mother Nature endowed him with that. So it is a reflex. Please know that. So redirection strategies. So here's what we want to do. Before stuff starts to go down, you want to get your dog's attention back on you because what they're looking at is what they're thinking about. The more they look at that other dog or that skateboard, the more it's going to escalate into the red zone. Okay. So we want to keep their focus on us or keep their focus on other things. So they're not perseverating on whatever that stimulus is. We've got the watch me, the attention training, the search command is fabulous. We'll talk about all of those in a minute here. Targeting, basic obedience commands, and yeah, parkour. The more that I do the parkour, the more I'm loving it for all other applications. It has lots of applications. And those of you that have not done parkour with me, parkour is basically parkour for your dog. It's agility meets urban class. It's taking obstacles in the environment and using them for agility. And it's a whole lot of fun. It's great exercise and it is great redirection. So here's the watch me. I want to show you. Alex is demonstrating. Alex and Rudy are demonstrating the watch me. So Alex takes his hand to his nose, from Rudy's nose to his. Now you probably can't hear him because I'm talking, but he's praising Rudy. Eyes on me, look at me. So he's rewarding Rudy for looking at him. And then while Rudy's still looking at him, he slips him a treat. So what does Rudy learn? Oh my gosh, I love looking at this kid. This is fabulous. I'll play it again so you can see here. So he's getting Rudy's eyes off of me because Rudy's used to looking at me. Good. See? And he loses Rudy's attention. He gets it right back. And he's using the hand sign as well as the verbal cue. But this is rewarding, counter conditioning Rudy for sitting quietly, paying attention to him, not whatever that distraction is. Now, here is an example of the search command. And this is Rudy again. I'm like, who is this? This is Rudy. So search is tossing treats on the ground. It could be toys as well, but typically it's treats. And he tosses it on the ground and says search. So he's giving Rudy permission to pick stuff up off the ground. Plus, he's redirecting, oh, Reggie's doing it over there too, redirecting their brain into something else, keeping them thinking about something else so they're not perseverating on whatever that stimulus is, dog, skateboard, jogger, whatever. Now, dogs track better below their nose. So by tossing it on the ground, so much easier for them to pay attention to it than if you have it in your hand. So that's a quick little tip, especially in your really high distraction area. That skateboarder is coming right for you and your dog just can't focus from your hand. Do the search command on the ground. It's a great alternative. The targeting, the touch. Good. So he puts it in his hand, it has him touch it. Again, keeping Rudy's focus on him. Good. And you can do a combination. Look at the tongue hang out of his mouth. Good. So he has him touch. And then he does some search. And as he's doing this, please note that Reggie's loving it. Both of them, they're having a good time. He's wagging his tail. He's doing the shake command. He's running him through some different things. So it's not punishing the dog at all. It's building their confidence. I cannot stress that enough. We want to build the confidence, not break it down. Here's some paw core. And some funky music to go with it too. Okay. So jumping up, walking across something. Good. So he jumps up, he walks. By keeping them physically active, it keeps their mind off of something else. So it's the kinesiology of it. Not only have they have to think about it, but doing something else physically helps to take their mind off of whatever it is. Here's some more parkour. Yeah, it's Rudy again. So he jumps up and Gary's keeping him busy, keeping him preoccupied, just doing something more physical, especially for these athletic dogs, is a great way. He did the 2 paws up, then he did the 4 paws up, and then the over. Rudy's kind of an overachiever with the paw core, but you can see how keeping the brain and the body moving helps to keep the dog's mind off of so come back this way. Other things. So here's, I just wanted to show you, here's here's little Sadie. So any dog can do parkour, not just your big athletic dogs. Okay, girl. And see how she's loving it. She's having fun. And that is the bottom line when it comes to any of this stuff, is we want to build them up, not break them down. Sequential rewards, we talked about that. Doing it multiple times to keep your dog engaged and to catch them being good. Differential reinforcement, we touched upon this a little bit. The best response gets the best reward. So several treats or larger treats, higher value treats for the better responses. So did they earn $5? Did they earn $5,000? You know, what did that response deserve? And then there's a difference between good and good. I do use clicker training in a lot of things, but the one drawback to the clicker is it sounds the same. A click is a click is a click. So you can't really utilize differential reinforcement when you're using the clicker, unless you would click and then jackpot reward with a treat following the click. But the click in of itself can't be used differentially, but your voice definitely can. So differential reinforcement. Now, quickly, the 3 Ds of dog training, what makes it more challenging for your dog to listen to you. The first D is distraction. The more stuff that's going on, the harder it is for your dog to listen to you. So, distractions, huge. Distance is also really important, especially for reactivity. The further away that dog is, the further away the dog is, the easier it is for your dog to ignore it. As the dog starts approaching, the harder it is for them to ignore it, the more they're going to care about that dog. 50 feet away, 100 feet away, whatever. They have some point where they don't care about that dog. That's where we really want to focus, reward, reward, reward. As the dog starts to move closer and they care more and more, then we have to do more of the redirection strategies. And of course, duration, the longer they have to sit there and pay attention to you and not that other dog or that jogger or that bicyclist, the harder it is. So the 3 Ds, levels of difficulty: distractions, distance, duration. Please see this from your dog's point of view. What makes it so challenging for him? Have some empathy, have some sympathy for why they're doing what they do. Okay, let's talk about these excitability zones for a minute. So you've got the green, the yellow, and the red. And this is really, really important. So we want to start our baseline learning in the green zone because that's where the nervous system allows learning to take place. If you're in the yellow or the red zone, a little bit in the yellow zone, but definitely the red zone, you can't learn. Once you're in that heightened state of arousal, that fight or flight stage, you cannot learn. You cannot be doing algebra when somebody is chasing you. It's not going to happen. Those higher reasoning functions. I mean, it's just cognition, it's the brain. So this baseline, the beginnings of everything that we do start in the green zone. What is the green zone? The green zone is where they're most comfortable, your living room. There's nothing going on. There's no distractions. They feel perfectly safe. Their nervous system is at ease. That's where you want to start all of this stuff. This is where you teach the targeting. This is where you teach the basic commands. This is where you introduce the watch me commands, all of those fundamentals that we talked about, all those redirection strategies. You start in the green zone. The yellow zone is where you start to test it. The yellow zone is in your front yard. The yellow zone is maybe even in the backyard where there's that much more distractions, depending on your backyard, of course. If you've got squirrels, more distracting than somebody's yard that doesn't have squirrels, etc. So the yellow zone is where we start to test with those distractions. We start to test with those increased levels of difficulty basically. And then, like I had mentioned, the red zone is where they're level 5 and above. They are too busy focused. They can't think. I hear from people all the time, oh, my dog is reactive, and when he's pulling and barking, he's just not listening. He's just not, well, of course he's not listening. He's in that fight or flight mode. The adrenaline is kicked in, the cortisol is pumping, and it's that survival mode. So of course he's not listening to you going, sit, watch me. Just can't. He can't. He's not listening to you because he's being malicious or because he has some agenda or he's somehow being passive aggressive. I heard that once. He just can't. He just simply can't. The learning cannot happen in the red zone. Again, whatever the species. We're talking about dogs here, but this is true of every other species under the sun. So remember that. If you start to up it and go into, the yellow, or I call it the deep orange zone, and you can't redirect them, you got to move backwards. work with them in the other zone. And how do you stop them from being reactive? You just turn and walk away, get their eyes off of it. There's nothing else you can do. I see people, and this is kind of why I started my reactivity rehab, to be honest with you, because I see so many trainers doing it wrong, and it breaks my heart. All the bad information on Facebook and YouTube, uh, it's timing. And I see people out in public, when I'm walking my own dogs and their dogs start to react to my dogs, and then then when the dog is reacting, they have them sit and watch, and I'm like, so wrong. Um, because what's happening, if your dog is reacting and then you tell them to sit and watch and do anything with them, it's counterproductive. One, again, they can't be learning because they're too excited. But two, the only learning that would be getting through to them, if their excitability allowed for it, is that they're getting rewarded for reacting. So your dog barks and lunges, and then you give them treats or start shoving food in their face. You're actually rewarding the barking and the lunging. So we want to catch them while they're in the green zone before they start to do any of that nonsense. Once they start to get beyond that, the only thing that you can do is distance yourself. Add distance, add space, get their eyes off of it. That's all that you can do. But do it calmly and neutrally. When they calm down, then you come back some more. They react, you go away. So it's a little negative reinforcement. They go away, come back, go away, come back. And if they don't come, they're not ready for that step. They're not ready for that step. They're not ready to play Beethoven yet. They're just not ready. So you go back and you practice some more. That's all. There we go. I guess I have to push the button hard enough. Yeah, so how do you handle the overstimulation? First of all, you got to remain calm. Got to remain calm. If you're like, stop it, knock it off. Even if your heart is pumping and you start overreacting, they're going to start overreacting, basically. So you want to remain calm, undo the pattern interrupters, something to snap them out of it. Pattern interrupters are simply stop. If you keep walking towards, or you keep in motion, your dog is keeping in motion. So you're keeping that rhythm. So sometimes just stopping. They're like, what are we doing? Walking backwards. I love walking backwards. Just taking a couple steps backwards, changing your direction. And now they're like, what? And I get it. Sometimes you're in a corner and you can't move this way or you can't move that way, but you can typically take a step back. And as soon as you start working backwards, the dog is like, what are we doing? It instantly breaks that pattern. And then, of course, completely changing directions, going from one spot to the next, is another great way to just snap them out of it. But if you start yelling and shocking them, or leash correction this, leash correction that, they're still focused. And that's what it is. Once they get in that zone, it's hard to get them out of it. So don't even try, except go the other way. Get their eyes off of it. It's the best way to do it. And this is what I'm talking about. I wanted to give you a little visual. So, he just walks backwards. And Rudy's like, what are we doing? So there's no law that says when you're on a walk with a dog, you have to walk in a straight linear line. You can stop every now and then, do these redirection things. You can stop every now and then and change directions, go back and forth. You can walk backwards for a couple of steps and then move forward. But if you keep walking forward, that becomes your dog's habit. And so we want the dogs to follow us, not to just keep going their way. And you can't hear him because I'm rambling on, but Harrison is giving him direction. Let's go, follow me. He's not just willy-nilly changing directions. He's communicating what he expects of the dog. And this also helps the dog to focus on you more. Like Reggie's like, what are we doing? What is happening? And that's kind of what we want, where he's not going his own way. He's focused more on you. And you'll notice Harrison's not jerking on that leash. He's not doing, we give him a little treat and a little pat on the head. See, there you go. Positive reinforcement. He's he's just changing directions. He's just changing directions. So you don't have to be jerky about it. I always say jerk is a noun, not a verb. Okay. If you're jerking on your dog, that's a you problem, right? Okay. So here now they're just passing by each other. And you can't hear again the boys because I'm rambling on, but they're talking to the dogs, reinforcing them. And you can start out when we do this, and this is what we do in class, is we start out at a distance. We're not walking right next to the dogs. That's too hard sometimes to start with. So we add a couple feet, 10, 20 feet sometimes. We start out easy and then make it more difficult. We stupid humans, we always want to start at the highest level of difficulty and then get mad when it doesn't work. We're setting ourselves up for failure. Let's set ourselves up for success. So, testing and proofing, it's all about the testing. These are the fundamentals. You practice these in the green zone, and then you test, 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 test in the yellow, and yeah, even the red zone. Seeing, just practicing, practicing, practicing. Okay, setting up for all those different situations. I wanted to throw in some real world applications. I mean, this is what it's about. Oh, there's some parkour. So even just walking across the street, waiting for the light to change, just keeping the dogs focused with them. And it's about being safe and sane. Safe for the dogs, safe for you, and sane for everybody. So this is why we practice. This is what we're going for. So yeah, there's most of my boys right there. And here's my other boy, another real world application. So retail therapy with your dog is important and fun because if you can't take your dog shopping with you. So another great place to practice is, yeah, take your dog shopping with you. So Reactivity Rehab, the class we're going to be starting, you want to bring a hungry dog, lots of yummy treats, variety. Again, we want to have different levels. So we want to have your $5 treat. We want to have the 5,000, depending on what distractions we run into. And we want to use that differential reinforcement. So for the class, bring several different types because you have to be more interesting than all those other dogs and distractions that are going to be there. And this is whether you're coming to a class, this is whether you're working by yourself. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's just we do the group class because it's more of a controlled environment. Obviously, I'm there. I have my assistants there. And it's dogs that I know. So it's more of a controlled environment. But honestly, anytime that you go out in public, you're going to practice these same level of things. And of course, bring water for yourself, for your dog, who knows what the weather is going to be like. So, so be prepared. And patience. Again, we want to be calm. If we get excited, the dogs are going to get excited. So patience is really important. And of course, a sense of humor because your dog's going to screw up. It's not going to go perfectly. I can guarantee you that. It's not going to go perfectly. You're going to screw up. The dog's going to screw up. So you have to be able to laugh. Because if you don't laugh, you're crying. So it's your choice whether you want to laugh or cry. I prefer to laugh because most things you can find some humor in, right? So reactivity rehab, that's the bottom line. Those are the fundamentals to go with. This is what you're dealing with. Here's some actionable things that you can do to start working on that. Obviously, if you want a deeper dive, please click the link below. There's going to be information about my online course. There's information about the in-person class that I do to help practice this. And if you want to work with me some more, obviously click the link, set up in a consult time, and we can always talk about it, about you and your dog. But let's get you and your dog into rehab because if a behavior isn't getting better, it's probably getting worse. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. And until next time, go play with your dog. Go play.